Hello, I'm Miss Pritchard and I'm here with Mr. Voigt.
Hello.
And we are going to make a skills cast for you to show you how to turn raw data from Excel into process data by doing a mean, standard deviation. I'm going to skip the t-test for now, that can come in another skills cast. Then we're going to construct a graph with a line of best fits and error bars. So the first place I'm going to start is with the mean. So I'm going to select this cell because that's where I'd like the answer to go to. Then just to add the mean, I go to FX, double click on average, and I only want to highlight my trials. So we want to ignore the 20 degrees at the front there. And that is my answer. Now I've got a little symbol here telling me there's an error. It just thinks that I should have highlighted the 20 degrees, so I'm just going to ignore that error. Now to save me from doing it 4 more times, all I need to do is click on this little square here, drag it down to the bottom, and all of my averages are done for me in one go. Nice and easy. So the standard deviation is also very similar. But before I move on to that, let me just show you how you can change your decimal places, because when you perform this, you might end up with like 8 decimal places. So all you need to do, just get rid of my error first so that doesn't interrupt me, is go to this button here at the top. That's decreasing my decimal places and this is increasing the decimal places. And I'm just going to leave it there for now. So standard deviation, I want the answer to be inserted here. My formula builder is still open, so I'm just going to click EstDev. And here I'm highlighting all of my trials, but I am not including the mean. That's really important, you don't put the mean in. Done. And here is my standard deviation. Again, it's really annoying that I've got this little error symbol up, so I'm just getting rid of it, drag down, and I have all of my standard deviations for my data. Now we're going to construct the graph, but for the graph you're only going to plot the independent variable, which is temperature, against the dependent variable, or the mean for the dependent variable, for the volume of oxygen. And I just want to highlight those 2 columns. But they're not near each other, they're separated by all of these trials. So Mr. Voigt, how do I highlight both of those columns at the same time?
Okay, so what you need to do is you need to highlight your first column like
Yep.
we've done here, and then holding the command key down,
Yep.
you can highlight the next column that you want to add, such as the mean, for instance.
Okay, perfect. So now we've got our independent and dependent variable highlighted. We are going to insert a graph. Now we're going to select a scatter graph. We don't normally do scatter graphs, but you'll see why when we come to the line of best fit, that the line graph isn't going to be sufficient for us. So we click on the scatter, the first one is fine, and here is my graph that I've made. Now obviously looking at it, it's not completed. I need to add a few bits and pieces. So we're going to start with the title, which should be very similar to the one on my results table. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to put it here where it says the word mean. Perfect. Now, as good scientists, we know that we should add our axes titles. So in order to do that, make sure that you've selected the graph and you're going to, one second, chart design, that's it. And in chart design, you've got add chart element, and that's what we want to go into. So we want the axes titles. I'll start with the horizontal first, and that one is temperature. So I'm just going to write here, we want temperature. And don't forget to add your units in brackets. Oops. There we go, that's temperature. Just get rid of the A. And that's the first axis done. Then for the second one, you go back and you add your vertical. And here I'm just going to put volume of O2. And then we've got the units in millilitres. And I'm just going to get rid of the rest of the title that was there before. So now we've almost got a perfect graph here. So what else do we need to add now?
Okay, so adding a line of best fit is very easy. If you right-click onto one of the data points, you will get the add trend line at the second bottom. And if you click on that one, you get a range of trend lines you can choose from. Now, the best thing is to choose the one that gives you the best overall trend line that you might think would be good for it. So you can basically choose any of them, and the one that comes closest to your data is probably the one that you want to use. In this case, we might try power.
Let's try power and see if that's any good.
That doesn't really give us a good idea either.
No. So what about linear? That's definitely not going to work.
No.
Try polynomial.
So that gives us a good trend line that sort of represents what our data is trying to say. That there's going to be a sort of peak and it will taper off each way. Okay.
So that graph is almost finished now. We've got one more element that we need to add to it, and that is the error bars. So we need to obviously keep selecting your graph because you can't work on it unless the graph is selected. And I'm going to go to the correct one this time, which is chart design. And we're going back to add chart elements. And here we're going to go to error bars. Now it's really easy to select one of these, but they don't quite work out as well. So we're going to go to more error bar options. And here, just make sure that both the top and the bottom of your point is capped. And we're going to go to custom because we're going to select our standard deviation for this, because don't forget, standard deviation is the spread of your data from the mean value. So specify the value. And here I'm going to highlight my standard deviation for the positive. And I'm also going to get rid of this first, going to highlight my standard deviation, same again, for the negative error value. And I'm going to click OK. Now the odd thing is about the new Excel sheet, since they updated it, is you get both of your error bars. So we only in biology are interested in the vertical ones. So I'm just going to click on these horizontal ones here and press delete. And that just gets rid of that problem if you ever have it. So now looking at this graph, you can see that for 50 degrees, it's got a huge error bar indicating to me that this piece of data isn't totally reliable. And we can see that because it's just astray of the line of best fit, whereas the others are relatively close. And another indication, if you look at your standard deviation, it's much higher for 50 degrees than it is for the others. So that is pretty much completed. Can you think of anything else that we can add to this to improve our situation?
No, I think that pretty much covers everything we need to know, and this should be able to meet the criteria that the IB require of you to graphically show the data and analyze the data as part of the IB criteria.
Yeah, and if you need to watch this, it will be available on It's Learning, on all the biologist teachers' It's Learning sites. And thank you for watching.